yes, sorry, when you're ready.
That should be running now.
Okay, right. You've probably seen me come up as asking to join the meeting again on the other computer. So if Winnie does, I'll swap over that one if it's okay. There we go. Right. So in the meantime, right. Sorry about that. I'll carry on this one for now. Sorry, so that one loads. Right, yeah, sorry. Hello, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Haverhill Town Council Finance Working Party for Monday, the 22nd of July, 2024. Okay, let me just. Right, okay, so who we got this? So, right, thank you. So I was skipping between computers here at the moment, sorry. Right, so just to let you know, this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. Item 2 of the agenda is any apologies for absence?
None received.
Okay. And item 3. So is declarations of interest and compensation.
So the audio is not very good for you, David, with 2 going.
Yeah, I'll turn the other one off now.
Okay.
Hopefully that's better.
Yeah.
So yeah, item 3, declaration of pecuniary interest and dispensations. So for any members to declare any interest that may have on the agenda and agree any dispensations.
You're still breaking up, Dave. Can't hear you.
Okay. I'm going to join on the other computer. Is that any better? Yeah, sorry, okay. So I got onto the other PC now. Okay, right. Sorry about that. So as I say, we'll try that again, shall we? Item 3 then. Sorry, item 2. Were there any apologies for absence?
No, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Item 3 is a declaration of pecuniary interest. Are there any declarations? No. Okay. Item 4 then is minutes of the last meeting. So declare the approve the minutes. So can I have a proposal? That's what Councillor Hannon first. Second, Councillor Liz Smith. All those in favour? Thanks very much. That's carried. Item 5 is actions arising from the minutes. I didn't notice any. Were there any, Colin?
Yes, there was a couple. Do you want me to put them up on screen?
Oh, yeah, I've got it now. Yes, gotcha. Yeah, so there's F24013. That's the first item is the zone, and it's an action for Kelly, I believe. Kerry, sorry.
Oh, yeah. So the action from the last minute was to split out the zone income. Colin and I were discussing this the other day. Now we're into the new year and what we need to do around it. My suggestion to you all, if you are happy with, is that for this report, for the RFO report, we do not split the zone income. None of the other incomes are split further down, with the understanding that obviously managers of the zone, etc., have access to the split information in order to make management decisions. So that's where I am with it. It's not currently split on the report, but our thought and feeling was that the top level report doesn't necessarily need that, but the information is there if we need it.
What we can do, because when we looked at it and we were trying to get it to work, we realised that the basis of the figures that John produces are not the same basis as the ones on the accounts because of VAT treatment, etc. So what we can do is share John's figures from the till, and just bear in mind they're not the official numbers because there's VAT included in them. But if you're interested in trends, then we can share that and you can see how it's going. So I can put that up on screen now. But as Kerry said, if we try, well, it would be very, very difficult to do. It would be a huge amount of work to do it in the actual accounts, and the numbers would not match the numbers that John sees. So do you want to share the figures we do have?
Just wondering who actually asked for the information? Is there anybody on here that was actually Councillor Burns?
No, it wasn't me. I think it was Roger. I think Councillor Andre. I think I'm maybe misspeaking on Roger's behalf. But
okay, if I can ask Roger, Councillor Andre first, then if that is that acceptable to you?
The reason for asking was in order to establish whether the cafe sales are viable or whether it's just the admission fees that are supporting the whole venture. We really ought to be able to fairly easily identify what's admission fees and what's not admission fees. That this doesn't seem like a huge problem, and I'm confused as to why it presents a problem now.
Because of the way the numbers are captured are different. So if I show you rather than get into the depth about the difference between what we have to show on statutory accounts and what the till rings up, if I show you what the till rings up and see if in terms of patterns, etc., that's useful.
Yeah, please.
Okay, let me share the screen.
while you're sharing that, can I just ask? Sorry.
Yeah, sure, go on.
The figures I give you, Colin, every Sunday are excluding VAT.
Well, there's a big difference between your you give us two sets of figures and they don't correspond either. So I think Kerry can, if people really want the technical answer, Kerry can give the technical answer.
So it's just simply the difference between the till reporting system and the main spreadsheet that shows the overall figures. Your main spreadsheet that shows the overall figures shows the overall sales, but none of the deductions. And so the deductions are all there within the till reporting system. So essentially, all of the breakdown, the admittance fees and the cafe fees, they are all available to us, and we can create reports for you if you need them. What I was trying to say is not break it down within the RFO report regularly. So if, for example, you wanted a breakdown for last year of how much was admittance and how much was cafe sales, we could do that. That's not a problem, and if that's something you require, we can do it. But what I'm just saying is within the RFO report where we've got all of those top level lines, keeping it as a top level line, if that makes sense. So it's not that we don't have the information. We do, we absolutely do, and I can produce that for you if needed. But what I'm saying is in the RFO report, just not splitting it so we don't have hundreds of lines for every single meeting. But obviously I'm open to what you need.
Chair, it's worth saying before Councillor Smith comes in, what's on screen is the till report. So you can see in 2023 cafe sales, and you can see 2024 cafe sales. July is not a complete month for 2024, but it is for 2023. But you can see for the 3 complete months so far this year, the bold figures show that this is how much more money has been taken by the cafe and by the entrance fees. What has gone down is party sales, maybe a slight health warning on whether the way that the tills are rung up is exactly the same now as it was 12 months ago. So, and then in the last bits are some small sums of money. Red is 2024, black is 2023, and as you can see, I couldn't put them into the numbers because they don't mean the same thing, but the total so far taken in 2024 is greater across the whole thing is greater in 2024 than it was in 2023.
Yeah.
But you get some idea there of how sales are going. Sales are probably strong simply because it's been raining.
So are you saying like some of the things that previously showed up as party sales may be included in one of the other categories?
Well, you could ring up party sales as if, for instance, if somebody has a party and orders everything as a party sale, that's a party sale. But if they order the basics and then order loads of stuff through the cafe, it's going to be rung up on the cafe till.
Okay, all right, thanks. Councillor Smith, I think got first.
I think actually Colin's probably just answered my question for me, because I was going to say, how does the party sales differ from the entrance fees and cafe sales? So I'm assuming they're recorded differently. The others are through the till. Is that what you're saying?
They're all through the till.
They're all through the till.
Yeah, but
They're
if somebody
not
comes in
doubled
and
up.
books a party,
Mm,
then this is how much they get charged.
right.
But if somebody comes in, if you like, just doing the basics, perhaps just having a cake or something like that, and then everyone orders food separately, then that will go through the cafe till.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So the entrance fee is included in the party sale, if you like.
Yeah, so
right.
the party sales gets you in anyway.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Councillor Andre.
This is very clear and resolves exactly the issue I was interested in. Can this sort of report be produced alongside the RFO report rather than as part of it, just alongside it? It's much more informative than the RFO report is on this particular activity, the zone.
Yeah, the short answer is yes. That this can be produced.
Right. Thank you. This is perfectly clear.
So you happy with that,
addresses
Kerry?
exactly
Yeah.
what I'm interested in.
Yeah, that's good. Okay, yeah, thank you very much. That's good. Councillor Burns, did you want to speak on this, or was this are you already?
Well,
Otherwise, we'll go on to the next one, which is
no, I was only going to explain there are 2 sets of figures. One is a week by week analysis, which I provide to Kerry and Colin every Sunday on a day by day basis. In fact, that does not split between cafe parties, and there's a few other things as well that go in there as well. Things like youth skills and stuff like that. Which doesn't include VAT, that's been specifically excluded. But the one that is generated from the till reporting system, which is very similar to this, which is it doesn't break down into its component parts, it's just gross sales, that does include VAT. Now, that's historically because the till reporting system was written about 6-7 years ago, when I wrote it for somebody else, not for the town council, and they wanted it with VAT in. But I can obviously exclude any VAT that's in there. We have records going back to 2019, so the data doesn't change because of the way the system works. It recalculates it all the time. Every time it reads all 60, 70,000 records that are in the database every time it generates a report.
Okay. Thank you.
So I could do whatever you like, Colin, Kerry.
Councillor Andre.
I think, wanted to be quite clear that the role of this committee isn't to interfere in the day-to-day running, it's to have an oversight. And this document is the right sort of oversight for us to judge whether we're heading in the right direction in the zone. I don't think we need any more of the detailed till sales or anything. This is it. This is enough.
Thank you very much. Lovely. So the next point we've got in is Councillor Burns on the kiosk and coffee bar, which is
Well, again, I do very similar analysis. Excuse me, analysis every Sunday. In fact, I did it for all the locations. I do it for the kiosk, coffee bar, and the now the main bar in the arts centre. Now we got that system up and running. Again, those figures I produced individually are without VAT on them. So we do split out the kiosk and coffee bar, but I think later on in the report, in the RFO report, Colin quite correctly says that I believe that labour costs are not split at the moment. I think that's what I read. And as it's been mentioned here, bad weather is, if it's chucking it down with rain, that the zone will do really well, and vice versa. And that's, today it's been a bit of a strange day today, but sales today were not very good. But come Friday, I think today, I can't remember how the figure was today, but I think we took 10 times as much on Friday when it's a nice warm day last Friday. But I haven't, the last or penultimate sentence there, I produce for Mel and Helen, the people who manage this, regularly, and they could do it themselves actually, analysis of how many they've sold of each item each month, so they can say whether or not they need to keep those items in stock. I'm assuming that happens. Obviously I don't micromanage that. I just provide the data.
Okay.
Yeah, the price list at the kiosk was when it was printed this year. It was printed after they took some items off, because your report showed that they weren't selling it. There was no point stocking it.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think to a degree we got all weather covered, haven't we, indoors and outdoors. Okay, right. Moving on. There's no action points on page 9 and nothing on page 10. Okay, so I think we can move on now to the next item on the agenda, which is the public forum, item 6. Do we have any members of the public here, Colin? No. Okay. Item 7, then we went straight on to the RFO report. So 7A is the Haverhill Town Council budget report to the 31st of May. Colin.
Do you want me to share that?
Yes, please.
Don't press that button. Okay, so yeah, obviously there's not a huge amount of action going on, and because of the front loading, the way things work, obviously it's all looking pretty healthy. So basically, as Councillor Burns just mentioned, the kiosk staff costs are still in the coffee bar costs at the time of this report, i.e. 31st of May. Kerry has separated them, but obviously it's happened after the close of the books for May 31st. And also, as Councillor Burns just referred to, the wet weather has had a pretty bad effect on the kiosk, and a good effect on the zone. The art centre is enjoying strong ticket sales, but I think just a word of warning, which perhaps wasn't covered at leisure, is that if we are selling Panto tickets now, that simply means we're not selling the same tickets later. So it's simply getting income in advance rather than actually seeing, we're not necessarily selling more seats. There may be additional performances. I don't actually know the answer to that question, to whether there are additional performances, but once it's full, it's full. So we're not going to get any, even if we sell all the tickets now, it's not going to make any difference unless we decide to put on extra performances. Dan Schumann is back on Friday, and I know he's going straight into doing some stuff on the Panto. So I guess that'll be down to him to discuss with the actors, etc., if they feel sales are strong enough that they could try and do an extra performance to actually get extra money in. But obviously, that's future performance sales. Where we've been selling stuff that's now happened, we've had better house numbers, so that's all very positive. And just a note there about the discussion taking place next Monday evening after full council, just to look at quotes for refurbishing the toilets, because obviously if we're getting lots of new customers in, we want them to have a good customer experience and not think the place is really a bit tatty and a bit grimy. And the toilets, I think, let the Arts Centre down quite a lot now, and it's better to get that addressed. And then just a couple of things on recruitment. We haven't yet started recruitment for the community warden budget, so you're seeing that as a positive. But of course, that's simply because we've not had anyone in post to take their salary, and the same with the HR advisor role. Are there any questions anyone has on the town council figures?
Can't see anybody indicating.
Okay.
Okay, so we move straight on then, Colin, please.
Just on the bank, we all cringe at the idea of having to change banks, but as Lloyd's are closing, then and so much is done electronically now. Kerry is going to try, and I don't know whether you've had a chance yet to do it. From the emails I've seen, the bank's been a bit difficult to actually nail down time-wise. But there's a very strange new structure for their charging, and I'm not entirely sure how they're going to work it. But they're also offering discounts, and what I'm not sure is whether we will end up discounted back down to basically the same charges as before, in which case we may not feel that there's an enormous priority to chase relatively modest savings in bank charges. But if bank charges are going to be astronomical, then, well, really, I mean, our loyalty to Lloyd's has not been rewarded by them keeping the branch open. So if that's what paying bank fees is for, then it doesn't really matter anymore. Kerry, I don't know, what's the latest trying to get hold of Barclays? Just talk us through this.
It's on my roster for this week, so I've gone through and looked at all of their paperwork, and as you've said, tried to make head or tail of all of the new fee structures, and it's a little bit cryptic. So I'm intending to reach out and try and have a chat with the lady from Lloyd's this week and just sort of try and get a clearer answer so that we know where we're at and we know whether we need to start looking for replacements or not. So it's in process, but not yet not yet in the offing.
I mean, how much business we actually do with a physical bank? Probably none at all, do we? So it doesn't really matter to us really who we use, as long as we get it as cheaply as possible, I guess.
Well, we do cash banking.
You do have cash banking, do we? Okay. Okay. I've got a quick question. It says 32-day notice. Is that? It seems a strange number of days. Is that right? 32-day notice account. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know why they do that, but because I have a 90-day account, but this one's 32 days. I don't. So you have to know kind of like a month and a day earlier than when you need it that you're going to need it.
Weird. Okay. Councillor Burns.
I'm involved with two places that also use Lloyd's. I've also had the same letters hiking up their charges as they're closing the bank. is a sure means of losing all their business. Loyalty, one business has been with them for nearly 20 years, the other one has been with them nearly 50 years. So we are actively looking at alternative non-mainstream banks to see what's out there, because the only place you're going to have to get cash from is probably an ATM machine type thing or post office, where you need more than, you need a couple of grand or whatever. So I think we need to look at all alternatives, what's out there. And there's a lot of places. You only have to look at Which and all these money thingy.coms, whatever they're called, recommend places you should go for both business and personal accounts. Thank you.
Icelandic banks then. Councillor Smith.
Yeah, sorry, it might be a silly question. I just wanted a reminder what CCLA balance means. What's the CCLA?
Oh, sorry, muted.
Muted,
Muted, Colin.
Colin.
Sorry.
That's
Yeah,
all right.
it's churches and charities, something I can't quite remember the full list. It might be local authorities. So basically that's unit trust figures. So that's the thing that generates about £5,000 a quarter in interest.
Okay.
At the moment the figures dipped quite a long way because of the value of their portfolio, but we don't have any need to crystallize that, so it doesn't present a particular issue. But we would need to keep an eye on it if it started accelerating. It's beginning to pull out of its last dive. It's quite sensitive to sort of government announcements, and if the economy is doing well, then it does well. But Brexit and the Liz Truss budget both it took a real hit as a result of both of those, for example.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I suppose we'll just wait with bated breath to see what Kerry can turn up then. Okay, right, so there's no more questions on that. Moving on to the next bit, which is the payments of debtors and creditors. Here we go.
Not really very much to say, to be perfectly honest.
Any questions for Colin or Kerry? Oh, lovely. Let's move on to the next bit then, which is community trust.
Yeah, again, I mean, the only probably issue here is that the dementia group and men's group have effectively run out of funds. In the past, they've relied on funds from locality budgets, etc. So I'll have a conversation with John Eaton to see if he can think of any sources for funding for those. As you know, they're volunteer led, and unfortunately there was a long delay before we got handed in the income that it makes, having settled loads of bills, and to discover that actually the income was nowhere near what we'd anticipated. So they caught us out a little bit. We didn't expect that, but obviously socially they're amazing and doing great things. It's just that the actual we want to have the income promptly handed in, so that we can keep a closer eye on exactly how they're performing. That's about it on that page.
Thanks. Anybody any questions? No? Councillor Burns.
Just a quickie, it's really for Kerry. Have you organised anyone to sign off the statements?
I've got them available, so I was hoping someone at this meeting could volunteer when they are next in the office to sign them off. They're all there ready and waiting.
So well volunteered then, John. Thank you very much.
Right.
Okay. Again.
And that's the debtors and creditors again, nothing really to particularly worry about. I think just on the creditors on account, somewhat irritatingly, we've been chasing Urban Chain for their bills, having got over the trauma of being with our previous provider. We thought Urban Chain might be a bit different, but chasing them, and they've now told us that they set a portal up for us, and we could download our invoices from there. And apologies for not telling us that they had set up a portal. So it was, I think, who was it? I think you had to actually go to customer complaints, wasn't it, Kerry, to actually get
Yeah, I
respond.
got no response for many, many months worth of chasing, and then the second I copied in customer complaints, I got a response within 24 hours. So we now have all of the invoices, and I'm working through them and processing them. So that should all get ironed out by the next RFO report, I hope.
Lovely. Well, we know what to do now if you get a problem. Yeah, brilliant. Anybody else got any questions on that at all? No? Okay. I think that's it, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So, oh, is that it? It's a short agenda tonight. That's nice. Item 8 then is the date of the next meeting. So just note that it's Monday, the 21st of October, 2024. And with that, we'll close the meeting at 19:34. Would have been a lot shorter if I got started the meeting on time, but never mind.